Alright, so the closer we get to Crimson Desert releasing, the more gameplay keeps popping up. And honestly, this game is starting to look kind of ridiculous. Like the first time I saw it, I thought it was just going to be another open world game. But the more footage that comes out, the more you realize this game is trying to do a lot of different things at once. The combat looks chaotic, the world looks massive, there are giant boss fights, weird physics moments, grappling hooks, there's just a lot going on. So I wanted to go through some of the things we've seen in the gameplay that makes Crimson Desert look way crazier than I think most people expected. One of the first things that I can point out that I notice all the time is how messy and chaotic the combat looks, and I mean that in a good way. A lot of games' combat is pretty predictable. You swing a weapon, dodge, and repeat, which is mostly like the Souls-like games we've seen. But Crimson Desert looks like fights can turn into absolute chaos. There are moments where the character literally grabs an enemy, spins them around, and throws them into someone else. You see enemies getting knocked across the ground, launched into the air, slammed into walls. It feels closer to an action game than a traditional RPG-like game. And if the combat actually plays the way it looks in these clips, fights could feel different almost every time. Another instance I noticed, pretty much quickly, is the physics system. Sometimes it actually looks kind of hilarious. You'll see enemies get hit and just go flying off a cliff or roll down a hill. In one clip, an enemy literally tumbles down a slope after getting knocked back, and it makes the fights feel a lot less stiff compared to most RPGs, where enemies just stand there and absorb damage. I know this isn't an RPG, trust me, I've been shit on in the comments many times. I'm going to say RPG as in RPG-like. Thank you. Here, it actually feels like the environment is part of the fight. If someone gets pushed near a ledge, they might just be gone, and get kicked off. Also, from everything that we've seen, and even from my videos before, the world does always look massive. I know every open world game says that, but some of these shots are actually kind of crazy. There are huge valleys, mountains everywhere, giant fields, big cities scattered around. Some of the clips show the player riding a horseback for what feels like forever while the environment just keeps on going. If the map really ends up being this big, exploration is probably going to be a huge part of the game, which honestly is one of the best parts of an open world RPG like. Just pick a direction and see what you run into. We actually saw a bit of the map that we got in the PlayStation 5 Pro footage, and it looks massive. I'm pretty sure Digital Foundry even came out and said that it took them 4 hours to get from one point of the map to another that he was trying to just go to. Another thing I didn't expect is how smooth the movement looks. You're not just running around everywhere. There are clips showing the player using a grappling hook to move across areas, climbing cliffs, jumping across buildings, slingshotting themselves from trees. Some parts almost look like parkour. And when traversal actually feels good in an open world game, it makes exploring way more enjoyable. Moving around the world becomes part of the fun instead of just something you do to get to the next quest. Look at Spider-Man 2. The wingsuit, that traversal was amazing. The boss fights might actually be one of the coolest parts of this game though. I heard there's so many bosses that when they went out for that 6-hour playthrough, they were confused on what boss to give them next. Some of these enemies are absolutely massive, way bigger than the player, and the fights look very cinematic too. Big attack animations, dramatic camera angles, huge environments around the fights. It almost feels like the kind of boss battles you see in games where the entire encounter is meant to feel like the big moment, even when it's just a random boss out in nowhere. If the game has a lot of these fights, they could easily become some of the highlights. One thing I've also noticed is the amount of small details in the gameplay. I've watched through many videos of Luke Stevens, Digital Foundries, Raptor, and just seeing how the armor moves when characters run, clothing reacts to the movement, weather effects change how the environment looks. None of these things are huge features on their own, but when you combine all of them together, it makes the world feel way more believable. Those little details are usually what make a game feel polished. Another interesting thing about the game is that it doesn't seem like it's only focused on gameplay. There are a lot of cinematic story moments in the trailers too. I was honestly worried about this because I know it was supposed to originally be an MMO, but it looks like the cinematic fights are very detailed. There's large battles, dramatic character scenes, emotional moments. It looks like the developers are trying to make it feel like a full adventure, not just an open world sandbox. it can end up being really good if the story actually ends up being strong. I don't have a full focus on this just because I understand that it used to be an MMO and that's what it was planned to be. And with games like Black Desert, Breath of the Wild, everything that it's been compared to, those usually don't have strong story elements either. But I'm hoping that the story at least lives up to the gameplay and everything we've seen, and I hope it's at least interesting. At this point, I think the biggest thing about Crimson Desert is just how ambitious it looks. It feels like the developers tried to pack a little bit of everything into this game. Huge environments, physics-based combat, crazy traversal mechanics, giant boss fights, cinematic storytelling. There's a lot for one game to pull off. And just looking at all the MMO elements that it looks like they dragged in from other game ideas just looks insane. Obviously, the big question now is whether the final version actually delivers on everything we've seen so far. But if it does, Crimson Desert could end up being one of the most interesting RPG launches in a long time. Again, I know it's not an RPG, we'll say an RPG as an RPG-like. But honestly, I'm really curious to see how it turns out once people finally get their hands on it. Hi, I'm Altometer. This is for all the people who have been saying that I'm just an AI voice. I am not an AI voice. I guess my voice just sounds pretty good. But if you made it this far in the video, it seems like you actually want to stick around for my content and the stuff that I'm building. Before the video ends, I wanted to let you guys know that I was thinking about doing a 48 to 72 hour stream once the game launches. Once the game launches, I want to do the unboxing video and focus on just playing the story and playing it through. The problem is I just don't know how much people actually care about wanting to watch me when the game releases. So I need you down in the comments to let me know if this is something that you'd actually like me to do, because I'm going to be using that weekend that I have off of work to push that 72 hours. And I'd really like to just not do it if nobody shows up. So please let me know down in the comments if a 72-hour stream or a 48-hour stream is something that you're interested in, because I'll do it, because I want to be a full-time content creator someday, and I want to build my channel off of Crimson Desert. So if you could, let me know down in the comments, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much for all the support that you've given me. I've hit over 400 subscribers when 2 weeks ago, I wanted 60 subscribers. I was hoping for 60, and now I'm at 400. Thank you so much again. Let me know down in the comments. And I will see you in Pywell.